The Galactic Council had ruled the stars for 3 millennia, their iron grip extending across 47 systems. They believed themselves untouchable, their technology superior to any species that dared challenge their authority. The arrival of humans had been little more than an amusing curiosity to them, a young species barely capable of faster-than-light travel, seeking peaceful integration into galactic society. Ambassador Alana Rivers had been humanity's first and only representative to the Council chambers on Nexus Prime. At 28, she possessed the diplomatic skills and unwavering hope that characterized her species. She had spent 2 years navigating the complex political landscape of the Council, slowly building bridges between Earth and the established galactic powers. The Council's response to humanity's presence had been predictably dismissive. The reptilian Chancellor Krex viewed humans as inferior mammals, their emotions a weakness to be exploited. The insectoid hive queen Zara considered them barely evolved from their primitive ancestors. Even the seemingly benevolent crystalline beings, known as the Lumina, regarded humans with cold indifference. Elena had endured their condescension with remarkable patience. She had suffered through their ridiculous demands for tribute, their insulting trade agreements, and their constant reminders of humanity's place at the bottom of the galactic hierarchy. Through it all, she had maintained her composure, believing that persistence and goodwill would eventually earn humanity the respect they deserved. The breaking point came during what should have been a routine diplomatic session. Elena had been advocating for improved medical supplies to help with a plague outbreak on one of Earth's colonies. The request was modest, well within the Council's means to provide. Yet Chancellor Krex had grown tired of what he called human begging. "Your species tests our patience," Krex had hissed, his forked tongue flicking between razor-sharp teeth. "Perhaps it is time we reminded you of your place." Before Elena could respond, the chamber's security systems activated. Energy restraints materialized around her, holding her immobile as the Council members watched with cruel satisfaction. What followed was not execution, but something far worse, a slow, deliberate process designed to send a message to Earth about the consequences of challenging the established order. Elena's final transmission to Earth was brief but devastating. "Tell them I'm proud to be human. Tell them to remember me." The news of Elena's death reached Earth within hours. The initial response was grief, then outrage, and something that surprised even humanity itself. A cold, calculating fury that settled over the entire planet like a shroud. The Council had made a fundamental error in their assessment of human nature. They had seen emotion as weakness, failing to understand that it could also be the source of terrifying strength. Admiral Marcus Cross stood before the assembled Earth Defense Force, his weathered face carved from stone. Behind him, the holographic displays showed the deployment of humanity's entire military might, every ship, every weapon, every soldier that Earth could muster. "Elena Rivers died believing in peace," Cross announced to his officers. "She died believing that reason and compassion could bridge the gap between species. The Council has shown us that they understand only one language. Today, we speak that language fluently." The human fleet that departed Earth was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. While the Council had grown complacent in their dominance, humanity had spent centuries perfecting the art of war. Their ships were not the largest or most elegant, but they were efficient, deadly, and operated by crews who fought with a unified purpose that transcended individual survival. The first strike came at the Council's military outpost in the Rigel system. The defenders expected a frontal assault, perhaps some desperate human attempt at revenge that could be easily repelled. Instead, they found themselves facing an enemy that had studied every aspect of their technology, their tactics, and their weaknesses. Human cyber warfare specialists had spent months infiltrating Council networks, mapping their defenses, and preparing for this moment. Within minutes of the battle's start, The outpost shields failed. Their weapons turned against each other, and their communication systems broadcast only static. The pattern repeated across the galaxy. The Council's vastly superior numbers meant nothing when their ships couldn't coordinate, their weapons couldn't target, and their crews couldn't communicate. Humanity had turned the Council's own technology against them, using their interconnected networks as a weapon more devastating than any kinetic bombardment. Chancellor Krex watched his empire crumble from the safety of his flagship, his reptilian features twisted with disbelief. How is this possible? He demanded of his advisors. They're primitives. They barely understand quantum mechanics. His science officer, one of the few remaining systems still under Council control, provided the answer that would haunt Krex's final moments. They understand warfare, Chancellor. They understand it better than we ever did. The siege of Nexus Prime lasted exactly 72 hours. The Council's capital world, protected by defense grids that had never been breached, fell not to overwhelming firepower, but to systematic dismantling. Human engineers disabled the planetary shields, while their marines secured key installations. The civilian population was evacuated safely. Humanity had not forgotten Elena's compassion, even in their anger, in the Council chambers. Where Elena had died, Admiral Cross accepted the unconditional surrender of the surviving Council members. The irony was not lost on him that he stood in the same spot where humanity's ambassador had pleaded for medical supplies just weeks earlier. Your species showed us that the galaxy operates on the principle of might makes right, Cross told the assembled aliens. Consider this a lesson in human might. The galactic order that had existed for 3,000 years ended not with the rise of a new empire, but with its complete dissolution. Humanity established no grand dominion, claimed no tribute, and demanded no subjugation. They simply ensured that no species would ever again wield the kind of absolute power that had cost Elena Rivers her life. In the years that followed, the galaxy learned to coexist without the Council's iron rule. Trade flourished. Conflicts were resolved through negotiation rather than force, and young species were welcomed rather than exploited. Elena's dream of peaceful galactic cooperation had been achieved, though not in the way she had envisioned. On Earth, a monument was erected in Elena's memory. The inscription read simply, "She believed in the best of us. We became the worst of them. In her memory, we chose to become better." The galaxy had learned that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their military might, but their ability to remember love even in the depths of rage, and to choose hope even after experiencing the ultimate betrayal.